One time I came out of a movie with a friend and we were walking through an outdoor plaza surrounded with buildings. And the only way for light to come into that plaza was at an angle, coming in over the roofs and bouncing on the glass of the building over here, back over here to the glass on this side. And we're walking through the middle of this and you have light just going all over the place. He didn't really notice. I couldn't stop staring. I was just sitting there trying to figure out where each piece of light was coming from. And you know, sometimes you see light in a room and you think, how did this happen? How is this light being produced? Because maybe you want to shoot a scene in light just like that someday. In one of my first projects called Quit, I was shooting for another set of filmmakers and they had a scene where a guy is trying to find a cigarette in his car. And we had nights to shoot. That was our time period. We had mostly nights. So we shot it inside a garage and I knew that the scene was set in the morning. So I put the light all on one side so that it was like the sunlight coming through the windows of that car. And then I framed the whole scene inside the car so that you couldn't see the windows. So you couldn't see that we were just really in a garage in the middle of the night. Then we had to park the car exactly where we wanted it to where that sunlight was coming through those same windows. And then we shot the rest of the scene around it where he comes to the car, gets in the car, walks around the car. Before I was a filmmaker, I was a graphic designer and I made a lot of things like movie posters and advertisements for people. So you have to have a sense of artistic design, and I was able to take that artistic design and take it into my filmmaking. But one thing I realized that it really connected to was that in advertising and design, the whole point is to draw someone's eye where you want them to look, whether it's a message or a person or a product. You have to balance where the viewer is looking. Light does that for you. If you have a shot or a scene of a whole room, you don't necessarily want to light the whole room unless the whole room is important. Like maybe they're a hoarder or something and you need to see the room, but you don't need to light the whole room that intensely if it's just a person talking to another person. Look for the important things that are in your scene. It is a way of just lighting the whole room very mutely and then spotlighting your main characters and then turning that aperture down, and it kind of lets the whole room get a little darker, and then you still have your main characters popping just a little bit. Just boom, boom. Now my eye is drawn towards your main character, then towards that guy in the corner who he's talking to, or that guy in the corner who's suspicious. Have fun with this. Don't just throw up a couple lights and go, well, I guess I'm done. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about a diffuser. A diffuser is going to soften the light. You don't want that harsh light on somebody, then throw a diffuser in the way. One of the best photo shoots I've ever done was with a diffuser exactly like this and 650 watt light. And that's it. One-sided, one diffused light. It was so pretty. It turned out really nice. So I would suggest if you get one of these, spend some time learning how to just play with this thing and see what you get. The sunlight is a lot like this 650 watt RE light. It's a hot light, it's coming straight through there. I've actually shut the barn doors down a bit so that the light is more focused towards the model. Sometimes you can bounce a light straight down into a bounce. It doesn't have to be aimed to where it bounces into the face of the person. It can just be aimed straight down. There's a Quentin Tarantino movie where the first scene is of a light coming straight down onto a table. Whoever shot that decided to light the table which lit the people in the scene from that table. What I suggest you do as a new filmmaker or filmmaker at all who hasn't played with light is to sit down, take your bounce, take a light, and get a model to sit and just learn to bounce that light around. I've even taken full 36 by 48 bounce cards. They're made of poster board and they're very shiny on one side, like a shiny gold. And I'll stick it up into a hallway between two walls and just make it arc. And then I'll just take the light and shine it straight up at that and see what comes back down on me. I would suggest if you get one of these, spend some time learning how to just play with this thing and see what you get. And you know, you can take that skin off of there and take the gold or silver side that's kind of almost mirror-like, chrome metallic, and crunch it up a little bit like it's cloth. You can do whatever you want with it. It doesn't have to be on that stretcher. So crunch it up a little bit, stick it underneath someone's face like we're doing here, and see what it does. And see how it fills her eyes, see what it does here, there, what kind of texture you might be able to get out of that light. Personally, I think there's 3 elements to indie filmmaking on a very low budget that really matter. Number 1 is light, how you are creative with light. Number 2 is sound. If you have some good sound, people will forgive a lot of the other things that you don't have money for. And number 3 is acting. If you have some decent acting, people get caught up in the story. If I were a brand new filmmaker, those are the things I would focus on first.